Hello everyone, welcome to another vlog on this channel. This time we're trying to do some actual photography. As you can see, I've come back to the tree which I already featured in one of the last vlogs where I was talking about this backpack here, the NYA Evo 36, which I'm still using a bit for day trips. Yeah, but today it's not about gear, it's about photography. And yeah, I'm trying to photograph this tree. I'm not yet sure of the framing, but something like you see now in the video with sunset. So the side light of the sun, when it drops low in the sky, I hope to get some really nice warm light on the tree, and then we're gonna look through this tree arch into the distance. That's at least the idea. Unfortunately, it's very windy, and it's actually so much wind that it's gonna be hard to get sharp photos later on when the exposure times get a little longer. So it's never the best idea to select the windy day to photograph trees or woodland, but I didn't have a choice. So it seems the next days the weather's gonna turn a bit, so we have gray skies and rain. So I decided to head out today, just give it a try and see what we're gonna get. So I'll take you along now. First I do a bit more scouting, see if I can find some other compositions, and then once I've locked down a composition, I talk you a bit through it, also through the technical settings, and hopefully we'll end up with a nice photo. So I changed the original plan a bit. So first I was up there at this tree, trying to use it or its branches as framing for the scene I wanted to photograph. But after walking around a bit, I found those beautiful dried up grasses here. And they look just nice, provide a nice foreground for another tree here. This broken tree here, and it actually has quite a nice shape to it. So going like this here, and if I have some clouds behind it which mimic that shape, this would be perfect. I don't know if I get those, but currently, at least in terms of clouds behind the tree, looks quite nice. The only problem is in terms of light, it doesn't look so promising after all, because there are too many clouds there at the horizon. So most likely what will happen is, as the sun gets low in the sky, it will just be disappearing behind those clouds, and I won't get any real sunset light. So it could be that in the end I won't get a photo today, but that's not too bad. So I now found a good composition here and I can just return. So it's actually not that far from where I live. It's like 90 minutes of drive, and also it's where I grew up. So when I visit my parents, I can just make a little stop here and try again. But still, I'm hopeful. So it's not yet done. We have maybe half an hour more, then the sun will either be behind the clouds, no light, or there will be a gap somewhere appearing, and then we're gonna get some very nice light, because in terms of high clouds, looks very good there. And just waiting now, enjoying the scenery. And also maybe I should talk you a bit through the technicalities of the shoot, because sometimes, or some of you might be interested. So what I have here, I'm at f9.5, ISO 100 and 15 millimeters. And since I'm very low, I'm gonna use focus stacking. So I'm gonna focus to the foreground, middle ground, background. I also gonna use bracketing just to get the complete dynamic range. I always have bracketing active, so doesn't bother me. It's the digital camera, so I can just take photos and later delete the ones I don't need. I also have filters in front of the lens, so a 0.6 soft and a 0.6 hard GND from Kase. So maybe a bit overkill, but why not? I mean, try to get everything in one frame. So in terms of dynamic range, but then also adding some bracketing, because you see there's not a clear horizon. You have the tree sticking out into the sky. So if you use graduated neutral density filters to compensate for the brightness in the sky, then you also darken the tree. So that's why I always combine such scenes with using filters and also bracketing, and then in the end I can just blend it together. Also, good thing, the wind has died down a bit, so when I'm shooting low there's nearly no movement in the grasses, although currently it's picking up a bit, but it's still okay. So I can usually find get a good timing when the wind's low, take the photos and then wait again. Okay, enough talk, now gonna wait and hope, and maybe see you in half an hour. either with a glowing sky or with nothing. We'll see. So as you can see behind me, it's actually looking quite promising. If the sun will now break through this little gap there, I hope to get some nice light, and I don't know how long it will last, so I'm prepared now. I've now focused on the very front grasses here, and I've activated focus bracketing, the automatic focus bracketing on the R5. I actually have a video about that. Now what I'll do when the light breaks through, I'll shoot a quick sequence of bracketed focus shots, so from front to back. Then I switch to exposure bracketing for the background, so quickly getting the complete dynamic range there. And then I repeat, and this way I get the whole photo with focus bracketing and exposure bracketing very quickly. It's just one time switching, so from focus bracketing to exposure bracketing. Unfortunately, this cannot be combined, but yeah, that's fine. I don't need exposure bracketing at the foreground because there's not too much dynamic range there. I just need the focus sequence, and then the background I quickly switch to exposure bracketing. Man, so much bracketing. I hope I didn't confuse you, but yeah, it'll make sense, and maybe I can later even show you the photos I've taken and roughly give you an overview how I combine them. So here are the photos I've taken straight out of Lightroom and imported into Photoshop, and you see what I explained in the video. I have a lot of photos, and let's start here at the top where I have a bracketed exposure. So here the bright exposure and then a darker exposure, because judging from the small camera display, it's sometimes a bit hard to see if there's clipping or not here in the bright parts. Actually, the dynamic range of the R5 is enough for this scene, but I still got this slightly darker exposure, which I can blend in a bit because it shows a touch more structure and color in this area. But otherwise, it wouldn't have been needed at all. And now for those other frames here, which you see, this is where I used the automatic focus bracketing feature of the R5. And I was actually focused here to this corner, which was closest to the camera when I started the bracketing sequence. What the camera then does, it takes photos starting from there, going into the background, and for this case it took like 2, 4, 6, 7 photos. So you see also how the view slightly changes, so it breathes a bit, the focus. So I have to align those images later on. And let's just zoom in. So here I have the background sharp, and here the background is completely unsharp versus the foreground, which is sharp in this frame and unsharp in this frame. And in between I have a smooth transition, which will now allow me to easily blend those together. And also it was important that I didn't have too much wind, because you see some of those grasses sticking out. Even with a very fast focus sequence, this would have been a bit hard to blend. So this is also something where you should decide based on the situation what f-stop you want to use. So for example, I was at f9.5, which gave me quite a lot images to stack now. If there would have been more wind, I might have rather decided to take f16 to give me a bit more depth of field, and this would have then allowed me to do less focus stacking. So yeah, that's always something to judge, to try, maybe even shoot sequences with different f-stops, which is something I do from time to time, just to give me a bit more wiggle room when I get to areas where the blend is not so easy, where I have movements and so on. Okay, so now for the blending, the first thing I always do when I have both focus stacking and bracketing, I will always do the bracketing on the background first. And as I said here, I just put a simple white mask, and I mask out just a touch here. I don't even use any luminosity masks for this, so I'm just painting a bit to reveal a touch more detail in those areas, and I'm just painting with like 10% very rough brush, and maybe down here. So that's really all there is to it. I'll flatten this down now, and now the next step, for those images, as I showed you, there's a little focus breathing. I will now auto align those layers as a first step for the focus stacking. So I go to Edit, Auto Align Layers, leave everything on auto here, press OK, and give Photoshop some time to align the layers. Now that the alignment is done, I can also double check it. So just see here at this space, this branch is roughly aligned, also down here in the foreground. Seems Photoshop did a good job, and also here you see that there's always less and less available depending on where you're focused. So for the foreground focus, the frame is now the widest versus the background focus where it's a little narrower. So as to the stacking, I'll simply start here at the background. I'll put a white mask on it, and well, let's do it differently this time. We start at the foreground actually, and I put a black mask on the next layer. So I'll just go in to 100%, use a fairly hard brush, and I try to find where the transition line is for the sharp areas, and I can simply press Shift on this black mask to activate the second layer and try to find out where it actually gets sharper, so around here. And then I just draw a rough transition line also down here, and you see it's really just this corner which will stay, or which I keep from this lowest layer, so really just the very close foreground. Let's see if there's on the other side here. You see there's actually nothing sharp in the frame from this closest exposure. So then I just fill in all the rest with white. So very quickly with a big white brush, and then I can also double check one last time. So see before and after. So yeah, it fits quite nicely. Sometimes you have to readjust a bit, but here it's fine. And I just flatten it down. And then I repeat this step for the next layer, and so on and so forth until I reach the final layer. And I'll spare you this step now, or those steps, and just show you the final image. Just wanted to give you a quick overview of what I get from this shoot, where I use for both automatic focus stacking and then focus bracketing, and how I go about combining it. So basically first doing the bracketing, the exposure blending for the background, then aligning everything, and then doing the focus stacking. In this case, starting at the front, working myself up to the background, and always flattening in between. So all this process will leave me with one image, which is the base image, and on this image I then apply my typical workflow. And as I said in the video, for this image the light wasn't perfect yet, so I think I have to return someday. I still try to get a bit more color into it, but it's not necessarily a portfolio shot. Still, it was nice being out there, and yeah, just go out, experiment, work on your technique, work on your craft, so that when the light's right, you know how to get the shot.